Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Lock Her Up for Real. Please welcome Trump Media and Technology Group, Devin Nunes, journalist and author, Lee Smith, former Chief of Staff for Acting U.S. Secretary of Defense, Kash Patel.
Thanks. Shall we sit?
Shall we sit?
Thank you so much for being here. Former Congressman Nunes, now CEO of Truth Social. The first question everyone wants to know is, how is this awesome project going?
Yeah, look, thank you all who have joined, and thank you for your patience. Remember, we had to build this from the ground up, and we are slowly bringing people on the platform as we can handle it. And our goal is to get you all on by the end of March. And I know everybody in here has already joined, right? Signed up, waiting, that's awesome. So we're working around the clock. Our team is going right now, as we speak. So every day we get more and more people on, and we're gonna take out big tech, right? Awesome.
Well, look, one question that's been on my mind for a while, ever since I heard about the start of Truth Social, how would this have made it different? This is for both of you guys. How would this have made the work that you did investigating Russiagate to have a real pro-America, pro-free speech social media platform?
Yeah.
How would that have affected the work that you guys did?
So you got to go back to 2016 when President Trump won. The world was shocked. He largely won because Facebook at the time was not censoring people. So he was able to not only go and give his big rallies, but you would see on there, how many of you probably watched it on Facebook live at the time? All of you, right? There'd be 50,000, 100,000 people watching it. When Trump won, what happened? Obama and Zuckerberg said no more. And they began to shadow ban, to censor us, and eventually they basically cut us all out. So when it comes to the Russia hoax, Russiagate as you call it, it was very effective for them to be able to hide, and I was one of the first guys that they shadow banned. So when I was trying to get the message out that, hey, maybe we have some dirty cops here, maybe the Clinton campaign paid for this mess, it was getting banned, right? And so nobody could actually find the real stories, the real work that we were doing, and we got basically relegated to what I call the internet ghetto. So, and then you just fast forward all the way through. If you look at the laptop from hell, that was also censored, right? That was censored by all the social media companies and all the big media companies. So I think it's had a horrible effect. And look, that's why I left Congress, because I felt if you can't communicate, how the hell are you going to win any war? Whether a propaganda war or kinetic war, we have to be able to communicate with one another.
I think it's very important for people to understand, and understandably, because of the investigation that Devin and Kash did, a lot of people were very disappointed when you left the Hill. And I tried to explain to people that the fight that you are waging now is central. It is central. It is central for conservatives, but it's also central for the future of this country. For us, for Americans to be able to communicate with each other, to gather information, and to disseminate information as well. So Kash, I know that you were targeted by the press a lot during the course of the investigation, but the same question for you. How would this have changed the nature of what you named Objective Medusa, your investigation into what they did? How would it have changed it?
So thanks for having us. Quick shout out to Matt and Mercedes for an amazing CPAC. Look, I think there's two points here. If the fake news media didn't come and mercilessly attack Devin and I, you guys would have no idea who we were, and Lee Smith wouldn't have written the courageous book, The Plot Against the President, that Amanda Milius turned into an amazing documentary. That is Russiagate in a nutshell. The other good thing to come out of the fake news media is no one would know who peanut sniffer Adam Schiff was. So I think, that or watermelon head, whatever you want to call him these days, is two good things to come out. But look, we joke about it now, but Devin led the charge and took merciless shots and arrows, and his family took personal attacks because the fake news media didn't want to report the truth, and they hid it from you guys for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And now we're breaking through, and I know we're going to talk about the Durham report, but we need you guys to keep pounding. pounding on Truth Social, pounding on social media, and pounding on the news, and make people aware that what they did, the Hillary Clinton campaign, paid for, bought and sold 3 lines of effort to corrupt a presidential candidate and a sitting president of the United States, and is the biggest criminal enterprise in U.S. history.
Well, look, we, you know, having spoken with both of you and interviewed you and spoken with you, and I hope that you all have seen the movie Plot Against the President, and if you have not, I hope later tonight, before you turn in, you will watch it. It'll keep you up. It's horrifying, but please watch it. It's a great movie, and please get to read my book too if you get a chance. But look, you guys told me in our conversations that you'd been a little surprised still, the extent and depth even of the investigation that John Durham, what he's been up to. So, I mean, you guys know this better than anyone else. So what is surprising right now? What is shocking to you about this investigation?
Well, I think as a former federal prosecutor, having worked with John Durham before, what he's doing is what Devin and I did. We followed the money. The money doesn't lie. Bank records don't lie. And John Durham has showed us through 3 indictments that he's indicted the Hillary Clinton campaign and their lawyers. He's indicted the #1 source for the Steele dossier, and he's indicted basically the entire corrupt enterprise. And what he's doing is laying out a case based on payments from the campaign to their lawyers to everybody else, including the latest line of effort, which is the infiltration, yes, of White House servers through a secretive arrangement. And Devin and I both know that means an agreement and a contract with the United States intelligence community. Let that sink in. A political operation to sit in and mine data for false information on a sitting White House. That is what is shocking to me, Lee. I worked at that White House. I was Trump's head of counterterrorism. And the fact that they were mining still to try to find a false connection. The only people with a connection to Russian oligarchs and overseas people is Hillary Clinton and her campaign through Christopher Steele.
And the Bidens.
And the Bidens.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, you've been calling them. I mean, you've identified. You guys identified the troublemakers. You call them dirty cops. We thought we knew how bad they were. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I'm like Kash. I mean, I never believed that they actually would do something and have access points to a healthcare company that we still don't know who that is yet, Trump Tower, Trump's apartment complex, and then ultimately the White House. I mean, that's absolutely shocking. And it's also, I'm not shocked by this, and neither are any of you, but the fake news has essentially buried this as if there's no big deal here. And it's totally unacceptable, what the news media has done. But I've said all along, I probably am the only person in America that had faith in John Durham. I think now people are starting to see, more and more people are starting to see with the indictments that are coming. And I notice that because this is the first investigation in the history of Washington, D.C. that hasn't leaked. Durham hasn't leaked anything. And that tells me that's a real prosecutor doing the right job. I don't know him. I've never met him. We made 14 criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, and I hope these people pay a price. And look, I think the only questions here that really need to be answered, this was a criminal enterprise, and there were a lot of people involved with it. It wasn't just the Clinton campaign and the dirty cops. There are so many people now that this is stretching to, including, as what Kash was talking about, people with government contracts that are getting special access to scrape and mine internet data is frightening. So, and then don't forget, you had the media that was also complicit in this. And I think, look, the only thing that we really don't know, I think all of us know the answer because we built a circumstantial case, right, with evidence. The only thing we don't really know is, when did the dirty cops get married with the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party? And we don't know. It was late 2015 to early 2016. That's kind of the only thing left that we don't know, unless there's some other bombs out there, like the whole issue of getting access to White House communications.
Well, you guys have described it, from very early on as a conspiracy. So I want to ask you first, and then I want to ask you, is that what we're seeing, and is this conspiracy much bigger than you'd imagined?
Yeah, I think it's much bigger, precisely for what I just said. We never found in our investigation this Jaffe character.
Right.
I mean, that was a shock to me. And I think but we also didn't have it. Everybody always gets frustrated, and I spoke here at CPAC before. And everybody says, well, why you guys in Congress don't do anything? Now, the good thing is I can say that about those guys now, too. Yeah. Why those guys aren't doing anything. But the thing is that, we're legislative branch of government. So we don't have, it's hard, right? And then if you don't have gavels, you can't issue subpoenas. So I know Jim Jordan was out here earlier, and everybody, wants Jim to do more and wants investigate more, but without subpoena power, it makes it very difficult. And we only had a limited window in there during the Russia hoax to issue subpoenas. And of course, Kash led that charge. That's how we followed the money. That's how we figured out that the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party was behind the dirty dossier. So let's just let Durham do his work. And I think as he keeps going, I think more and more people, look, there's probably over a dozen people here or more that should be indicted, in my opinion.
Wow, okay.
Look, to piggyback off what Devin was saying, American people want accountability. It's why he went to Congress and led the charge as House Intel chair. But what everybody forgets is that our investigation led to the firing of 17 FBI agents and DOJ officials. That's a first step of accountability. Our investigation led to John Durham being appointed special counsel. Now, as a former terrorism prosecutor, I worked on indictments that took 2, 3, 4 years to dismantle some of the largest terror networks in the world. John Durham is working on the largest criminal conspiracy in U.S. history. It makes Watergate look like a parking citation. So and he's working with like 5 people. And as Devin said, there's no leaks. So you got to give him a little time, but you guys got to go out there and read his pleadings. You don't issue 40, 50-page pleadings for charges for lying to federal officials. Those are 3, 4, 5-page indictments. He's educating the public the only way he can, without leaking, lawfully in federal court. And what does the fake news media do again? Hillary Clinton puts out a statement. She doesn't deny it because they know the money doesn't lie. Her campaign doesn't deny it. The questions that you guys need to be asking of John Durham that he has answers for, I believe, is who in the Hillary Clinton campaign orchestrated this effort? Are we to believe that tens of millions of dollars were spent and they had no idea? The current national security advisor to the President of the United States, Jake Sullivan, who was then the senior advisor to Hillary Clinton, didn't know what was going on. We interrogated him under oath. Michael Sussman is under indictment because of our interrogation 4 years ago under oath. So these are questions that you guys have the answers, that you guys need the answers to, but I firmly believe John Durham has put it in federal pleadings because he already has the answers. He's put 24 people before a grand jury.
So, and one of the things that I want to add here too is that it's bad enough that with this scandal of what they did to a sitting president, or first a presidential candidate, a sitting president, everybody who was involved in it, all the lives that they destroyed in this country, that's horrible, right? And they've corrupted, all the intelligence agencies have been corrupted through this, the political parties, the fake news media, the social media companies. But what we witnessed last week, people die when this happens, okay? Spending 5 years in hysteria in this country, talking about Russia all the time, crazy stuff, P-tapes and all the other crap out there, with the Democrats and the media, always accusing, any Republican who ever said anything, oh, you're a Russian agent, right? So we lost critical time. Remember every time President Trump would actually try to go and have a meeting with Putin, and then they say, oh, Putin's puppet. Oh, really? Guess what? Russia didn't invade Ukraine during the Trump administration. So at the end of the day, this craziness leads to people getting killed. And shame on these people who did it. It's not just about the politics. People die because of it.
It's not just a political scandal. It's a disaster for U.S. national security and for America's leadership role across the world. It's a disaster. So where's it going? What should we, as a former federal prosecutor, what are we looking at right now? What's going to happen?
I think I hinted at it before. I think this summer you're going to see a bunch of indictments drop from John Durham's office. I think it's not going to get to the senior levels that we hope for. I think that'll come later in his report. But you should look for indictments to reach the deputy director levels of the FBI, to get those guys that were in meetings, Peter Strzok, the Lovebirds, Lisa Page, Fusion GPS, all of these guys that perpetuated the biggest fraud in U.S. history and lied about it are going to be brought to justice under John Durham's investigation. And we have to give him the time to do it right. Because if he gets one sentence wrong, if he gets one word wrong, then his entire investigation will sink, and you guys know that, and that's why it takes time. So Devin has been the only one, and I followed in his draft, no shocker, who's been preaching that John Durham's doing the work methodically. I think he's going to get there. And I have to echo the statements of, I served in the Trump administration. Not only did President Trump, not only did Russia not invade then, China didn't do anything, we withdrew out of Afghanistan successfully. These are all things you need to keep in mind under a Trump administration back then versus what we're going on now, since we're talking about national security. So take out your phones, download the CPAC app, and take a straw poll. I can't tell you who to vote for, but we all know what happened under 45, so you guys might want to chime in.
Last word.
And I'll just say, too, can you believe this, that all these years, Kash, he was working in intelligence and at the Department of Justice, he never would get on social media. Until last week, we got him on Truth Social, his
I'm at
first
Kash.
social media
it's ridiculous.
account right here. So
He's a social media genius, 4 posts, and he's over, I don't know, how many thousands. Gentlemen.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everybody. God bless.
Thanks. Thanks, man.